Bim, guess what? We are live. It's just gone 10 o'clock, it's Sunday, that can only mean one thing. It's the weekly news review and opinion show, where we look and round up the news from the week. And this week there's quite a lot of news. A lot of it is general election stuff, and I'll be honest, I'm going to cover some of it, but if you want more election opinion, then by all means have a look at my brand new show, Election Watch, which I film and record live on a Monday evening at unspecified time, when I get round to it, basically. But yeah, this is the general news roundup. It comes in a few parts. First part is, hello Marty Hopkirk, hope you're good. First part is saying hello to people coming into the chat room, as Marty Hopkirk. Also T and various other people as well, who may or may not pop in on occasion. And then we have a look at the main news of the week. I picked two stories, neither of which are going to be the general election this week. And then we look at the general news from the week. Then we look at the news from around the world, and then we end on some, well, we don't end, but we do some like funny stuff. Have a look at breaking news, and then we call it a night. Usually lasts us an hour and a half, 2 hours, without any breaks. Hello Dream Frequency, so we just let the people join the chat room, and then we will get underway. Is that you, T? If it is, give us a like, and then I know it's you. Where are we? There we go. Click on that, click on that. Dum-de-dum-de-dum. Been a busy week. It's been a very busy week. I haven't stopped this week at all. Work's been busy. Even went out on a night out on Friday that I wasn't planning on doing, which has messed up everything else for the weekend. But we've got there. We're here. We're at the end of the weekend. Woo! Whole new week ahead of us. So yeah, I think we'll wait for other people to drop in as and when. So we will look at the main news of the week. Now there are two main stories this week that I'm going to choose. One is, well, it was on Monday, and well, it was more horror from the Gaza war, basically. Once again, Netanyahu and his cronies decided to bomb civilians in Rafah. It's shocking what is going on, the murder of innocent children and people, but it's alright because Benjamin Netanyahu described it as a tragic mistake. A tragic mishap after a strike. At least 45 people dead. IDF said it was alright though, because we were targeting two Hamas leaders. Now I don't have a problem with the Hamas leaders, but I do have a problem with 45 innocent people being murdered. There was an emergency meeting held by the UN on Tuesday the 28th over the Rafah attack, and the government for Israel claimed that it was only a 17-kilogram bomb that went off, and it couldn't have actually killed all them people, so they're now saying it's someone else again, which is nice. Not really. These people are scum. And then it took us, weirdly, to Friday, and on Friday, from nowhere, President Biden comes up with a 3-point plan. It's a peace proposal and ceasefire. And it's come from Israel that could end the war. Those in Israel must change minds, though, over the continued war in Rafah. Now the problem you've got is there are very hardliners in Israel who are just happy to kill people for no reason at all. And it just continues. The murder, the slaughter, whatever you want to call it. I'm not using the G word. I think it's more ethnic cleansing, but I've said that before. And then also in America, and a different president, Donald Trump on Wednesday said that even Mother Teresa could not avoid the charges. Well, no, because no one is above the law. So if you've done something wrong, then you're going to get called out for it, aren't you? Anyway, that was Wednesday. Thursday, Trump became the first president in American history found guilty on all 34 charges, and is going to get sentenced on July the 11th. Now, it wasn't the fact that he had an affair with Stormy Daniels that's the problem. It's not even the fact he paid money to shut her up. It's to do with the fact that he put the money down that he'd given her as funds used for his presidential election in 2016. Either way, he's been caught out. On Friday, he said, in a meandering, very long speech apparently, just raging against his conviction. Obviously he's been picked on. I mean, anyone else who does anything wrong, even he said, remember, what was she called? Hillary Clinton? Send her to put her in, lock her up, and all that kind of stuff. And it happens to him, and it's like, oh no, this is all terrible. Oh no, we can't be doing that. Meanwhile, we've got people on Monday, because this is the news now, in Papua New Guinea, say over 2,000 people could be buried in the landslide that happened after the heavy rain. And a 17-year-old is released without charge, and another man being searched for after the stabbing in Bournemouth on the beach, if you remember. We covered that last week. Horrific circumstances going on there. We also had the general election, the Labour leader speech. Whatever the polls say, I know many have questions and are undecided. Rishi says he spoke for half an hour, as in Keir Starmer, with no new policy, and defends his national service idea that he came up with last week. I say he came up with last week, I don't know who came up with it, but we'll find out one day, no doubt. Meanwhile, Tuesday, Diane Abbott is reinstated as a Labour MP, but it's unsure if she will or can stand in this general election as a Labour candidate. Angela Rayner has got no further action against her regarding the properties and the tax and the possible lying about where she lived when she put her form in for becoming an MP. The Prime Minister says he will protect pensions and pensioners if re-elected, and Rachel Reeves says Labour will form a national party, and for business, sorry. And Farage says the Conservative Labour not doing enough to stop the bolts in a speech in Dover. So we'll come back to all that as well, don't we? Dorset police arrest a 20-year-old man over the stabbings on the beach. So we'll see how that develops. Not heard anything else since. Student protesters inside of halls of residence and the main hall in Manchester University, and they are protesting over the Gaza crisis that is currently going on. Brings us to Wednesday. The first report of air turbulence on a Singapore aeroplane, which went with the plane rising and falling and then rising again, all in 5 seconds. 26 people in hospital. Now, the week before, an aeroplane dropped 6,000 feet, and sadly an English gentleman was killed. The Royal Mail may be taken over by a Czech billionaire, but keep the brand name and maintain the service, although there are rumours they want to go to a every other day delivery for second class mail, but even first class mail doesn't get there the day you post it now. I've had letters just disappear without trace, never to be seen or heard of again. Diane Abbott may not be allowed to represent Labour, and she said they just want to exclude me from Parliament. Keir says no decision has been made to bar her. Junior doctors are going to strike again for the 11th time. The BMA say 35% pay restoration before the general election is needed, and even West Streeting says that 35% pay claim is not one that Labour will be able to meet after July the 5th if they win, but they are willing to sit down and negotiate and go through a journey to sort out this crisis. I'm pretty sure the Conservatives have tried that, but as I've said before, the BMA are just so adamant they want 35% and nothing's going to change that, and unfortunately that is not going to help. Labour have also said within 5 years they will reduce the backlog and waiting list for all NHS appointments to 18 weeks or less. It's easier to say, much harder to do. We have some more new arrivals, JT and Rachel, hello, and Alan Barton as well. Good evening. Thursday the 30th, Conservative MP switches to Labour again. Diane Abbott says she's being banned. Keir says no decision, but Angela Rayner sees no reason why she can't stand. Meanwhile, a 9-year-old girl is in critical condition after a drive-by shooting in London, still in hospital at the moment as well, unfortunately. Friday the 30th, Keir says Diane Abbott can stand as a Labour candidate in general election. Remember, this is after Angela Rayner, who's his deputy, said she could see no reason why not. But you've also got to remember that Diane Abbott is rather left-wing compared to where Keir wants to go, so I think Keir's been pushed into this. Some might say it's a U-turn from Keir Starmer, but he's not known for them, so I think it's just a change of decision. And it ends 4 days of chaos. Keir talks about Great British Energy. That's come back again. Whoop whoop. We're going to set up an engine company with no money. That's going to save people money, as we said, but an energy company with no money. Germany and the USA both agree that Ukraine can use their weapons supplied to Ukraine inside Russia as long as they are military targets. Now, this is a moderately dangerous thing that they are doing. Hello, Calderdale Top Cat. The problem is, if an American or German weapon is used on Russian soil and kills someone and Russia takes offence to it, we could have a massive world war on our hands. And we're not quite at the stage yet where they won't use nuclear weapons. We're nearly there. We just need to go completely cashless, and then we can all be defeated by someone in the cyber internet. Anyway, let's not worry about that. We're now in June. We're nearly halfway through the year already. Saturday the 1st of June. It's rumoured that there is a historical political change in South Africa. The ANC may lose their overall majority and may need a coalition to form another government. Boeing stop their launch of their Stargazer rocket 4 minutes before the launch. You know, Boeing, that very successful air transportation manufacturer. Ticketmaster hack, biggest data breach in history, question mark. And Labour and Conservatives unveil buses. Angela is the Angela's bus is the name of the bus they've given it, which is a bit weird. And it's got to go back to work policy as well. And they've got a clear plan. And money for towns, at least that's a Tory saying. Tories are going to give towns £20 million each. Not buying votes, honest. And then sadly today, the second, we've had Rob Burrows, the rugby player for Leeds Rhino, his entire career at Leeds, got MD and has sadly passed away at the age of 41. Diane Abbott says she will stand as a Labour candidate at the general election. And Labour refused to set targets on reducing net migration. by not even saying when they'll do it or by how many, which is very helpful for if we're going to vote for them. At least we know what we're getting. Train home. No, not train home. It could do with that, couldn't they? They're going to train more people born and bred in the UK in skilled jobs such as engineering and healthcare. SNP launched their general election campaign as well, but like I say, more of that will be tomorrow on the Election Watch show. And ANC get 40% of the vote in South Africa and lose their overall majority for the first time in over 30 years. Just what you would expect from Alan Barton. Yeah, a change of mind. He's not changed his political persuasion, he's just changed his mind. Which brings us to the news around the world. It's news from all over the world. Except of course it's not, it's just Australia and usually America. What am I doing? I've gone in the wrong file. Gosh sakes. Australia to give $2.5 million Australian dollars in aid to Papua New Guinea, so that roughly translates at some in the region of about £6.50, but in Papua New Guinea that's the equivalent of 5 million, whatever they have over there, so it's a pretty generous gesture. He hasn't got a mind. Australia will provide $2.5 million in humanitarian aid to help Papua New Guinea in the wake of the deadly landslide last week, with over 2,000 people still believed to be buried alive and an estimated 670 killed. Now I know what you're thinking, how can they be buried alive? Well, the landslide was so quick that they think that some of these people could be trapped within buildings which have been covered by the landslide. Either way, I can imagine that's horrendous, and if there's no air getting there as well, that's going to be even more horrendous. But they're going to send emergency shelters, hygiene kits and support for women and children, as well as technical experts who will help with early recovery efforts. Meanwhile, remember we have an inflation problem in the UK, and it's all because of the Tories and Brexit and everything else. Inflation has risen to its highest level in 5 months, likely pushing back any chance of an interest rate cut. Yes, they've got high interest rates and inflation is going up again. The Consumer Price Index for the last 12 months to April was 3.6%, which is higher than the UK, despite market expectations of a fall of 3.4%. So Australia is doing worse than us. Ticketmaster data breach. An infamous hacking group claims to have stolen the personal information of 560 million Ticketmaster customers globally. Thousands of Aussies are reportedly caught up in the data breach, with hackers selling their names, addresses and credit card numbers on the dark web. Meanwhile, in the UK, that should be in the funny news, but we'll have it here now anyway. Man buys 1970s train for £1 to save it from scrap. A rail enthusiast has bought a 1970s train for £1 in a bid to save a piece of Merseyside history from a trip to the scrap heap. Robert Hampton, 41, now hopes to raise £10,000 to move the Merseyrail Class 507 train to a museum. The IT consultant said he had fond memories of day trips on the old trains and wanted to save a piece of Merseyside history. The Class 508 trains, first introduced in 1978, are being replaced by the Class 777 fleet, no relation to Boeing, so hopefully they should be fairly safe. I say hopefully, because you never know. Bakery and cafe empire collapses in Australia. A string of Brisbane bakeries and other hospitality venues run by award-winning chef Shannon Killam have shut down, with the company behind them collapsing and 90 staff losing their jobs. Killiam's BNC Events Group, which runs a number of hospitality businesses, including King Street Bakery and Mika Patisserie, called in Mark Holland, Jamie Harris and Anthony Connolly from McGratham note restructuring as liquidators this morning, as in the morning of this, which again proves it's not just the UK that's got businesses struggling. Government workers in Australia, government to fix immigration saga. Bizarrely, even though they've got one of the strictest things in order to get into the country of any country in the world, and they're like miles away from any other country in the world, they've still got an immigration problem, and it's an issue that's causing issues for many people in Australia. So the government are being forced into cracking down even more on immigration. Again, we'll see how that works. Not just the UK and Europe, it's the whole world. Shark attack, capital of the world named, and it's in this US state. Florida is the shark bite capital of the world, according to a report from the state's Museum of Natural History and Florida University, with areas around Daytona Beach having the highest concentration of attacks anywhere. Now, one would have thought shark attacks would be more in Australia, but no. The International Shark Attack File identified Volusia County as the world's hotspot for sharks preying on humans, with 351 unprovoked attacks identified since the earliest records began. Now, it's not a lot, but you think about it, that's a lot of people, but they say unprovoked. Well, you're in their territory. That's provocation. I mean, in America, how many people did we cover it last year who just drove onto the wrong drive and got shot? That was an unprovoked attack, wasn't it? You go into someone's space, and in this case it's a shark, and then you moan that you get bitten by it. Trump should go swimming there. Very good, Alan. Biden marks Memorial Day at Arlington Cemetery and mentions son's cancer death. Yeah, he's well with it, isn't he, President Biden? He honoured Americans' fallen troops at Arlington National Cemetery, saying in a Memorial Day speech that Americans must be keepers of their mission, while reminiscing about his own son's death from brain cancer. Today we're not just fortunate heirs of their legacy, we have a responsibility to be the keepers of their mission. That truest memorial to their lives. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that everyone who died in World War II would be happy with the state of the world now, wouldn't they? With migration the way it is and all the other stuff going on, and people being basically treated like we're in a Nazi state at the moment. And not just in the UK, I mean everywhere, it's just ridiculous. Colorado rancher and 34 cows killed by lightning strike in tight-knit community. Denver it is. A lightning strike killed a Colorado rancher and 34 head of cattle over the weekend. Mike Morgan, 51, was feeding his cattle from a trailer when he was struck and died on the scene despite life-saving efforts. Mike Morgan and 34 of his cows were killed in a lightning strike. That's not the actual lightning strike, that's just a Getty Images stock photograph of a lightning strike. Air Force unveils B-21 Raider, the newest nuclear stealth bomber. See it while you can. The Air Force has released the first in-flight photos of its new futuristic-looking nuclear stealth bomber, which is expected to be the backbone of military air operations from next year. The sleek B-21 Raider, first unveiled late last year, was pictured during an ongoing ground and air testing at Edwards Air Force Base in California. Basically, it's an invisible aeroplane. That's all you need to know. And it looks remarkably like, oh, hang on a minute, how many sightings have there been in America of UFOs? Where do they test these aeroplanes in the sky? Do they tell people about them? No. I wonder what the UFOs could be. This is our doom and gloom news review this week so far. No, we've covered the guy with the train. I mean, that was a good week's story. No? Some worshippers flock to New Jersey Beach as it opens on a Sunday for the first time in 155 years. Hundreds of sun worshippers flock to a New Jersey beach for the first time in 155 years on a Sunday morning, after the state officials ordered the Christian sect that owns the sandy stretch to stop blocking it for prayers. The beach-hungry throng took advantage of the holiday weekend miracle after the Ocean Grove Camp Meeting Association, a Methodist group that began shutting down the site so that they could use it for their prayers, have been told that it's public and anyone is allowed to go to it anytime they want. Anti-Israeli protesters caused $3 million worth of damage and security costs at City College campus. It's a real shame. It is. It's awful. Anti-Israeli criminals caused at least $3 million in damage, and the need for costly extra security at taxpayers-funded City College campuses in Upper Manhattan during the violent protests there. Now, they're only violent when the police went in armed with, well, violence. So I have no sympathy for the police or the taxpayers in New York. People are allowed to protest as long as they're not supporting Hamas and they're being peaceful, which is what they were. I don't see what the problem is. If the police go in heavy-handed, then you're going to get problems, aren't you? New York City students are asked to participate in remote learning simulation on their day off. Big Apple families are being guilt-tripped by the city into joining a remote learning simulation on their kids' day off to better prepare for an emergency after a technical meltdown during a February snow day. Students and family have been asked to voluntarily log into their school systems at a pre-scheduled time slot on June the 6th to engage in the non-instructional activity, but also being warned that the setup will work out who's been on and who hasn't been on. So basically, if you don't go on, they'll know you've not been on, and then you'll be in trouble and your kids will be shot or something, I don't know. Robert De Niro, talking Italian. Robert De Niro's waiting outside the Trump courthouse. Robert De Niro headlines bizarre Biden campaign presser outside Trump trial and says, "You're a keen idiot." Oscar-winning actor Robert De Niro became the face of the Biden campaign, fronting a tumultuous press conference outside the Manhattan courthouse, where the former President Donald Trump's defense team made their closing arguments over the hush money trial. I mean, yeah, if you want someone on your side, regardless of which side you're on, that's famous in the UK for a generation for selling bagels, Warburton bagels, then feel free. But I think I'd sooner have someone, I'd sooner have Taylor Swift. I'll be honest, yeah. Bear breaks into homes to steal cookies in a hilarious video and earns a cute nickname. He loves cookies very much. A bear has been spotted going to multiple homes in Los Angeles and swiping packs of a popular brand of cookies. The bear broke into a home in Minerva neighbourhood and left with just one item, Oreos. Now residents have given him the apt nickname Oreo. The bear is not tagged, but the neighbours believe the incidents are all pulled off by the same bear because it only eats Oreos. It must be the milky goodness that's in an Oreo. No? Okay then. Northern Korea spy satellite explodes mid-air after launch. North Korea's attempt to blast a second spy satellite into orbit went up in flames not long after takeoff. The Hermit Nation State's news agency confirmed Pyongyang's botched rocket launch came from its northwestern space center around the time of China, Japan and South Korea's first trilateral meeting in over 4 years. The Hermit Nation claims its first successfully launched spy satellite last year. North Korean officials blame the setback on an air blast issue during the first stage of separation. Imagine seeing that in your kitchen. Yeah, bear. Well, it'd be more shocking in the UK, let's be honest. Biden twice says he was involved deeply in civil rights movement, despite admitting in the past he wasn't. President Biden in Philadelphia claimed twice that he was involved in the civil rights movement as he courted black voters in battleground Pennsylvania, despite admitting in the past he was not. "I got involved as a kid in the civil rights movement," Biden 81 told a group of black officials and local residents at a Philadelphia restaurant and jazz bar, repeating himself later. And he didn't. He's already said he didn't do that. It's fake news. Imagine the president giving fake news. Boy 12 charged with hate crimes on caught on video New York City attack on Jewish boys. A 12-year-old boy was slapped with hate crime charges in the disturbing caught on video beatdown of two Hasidic Jewish boys around his own age in Brooklyn earlier in the month. Law enforcement sources said the preteen was picked up late Wednesday and charged with aggravated harassment and assault. Both are hate crimes in connection to the May evening attack. Now, I have no problem with people verbally and putting sanctions on Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, and all the IDF military people. Not a problem at all. But you cannot blame people in countries, especially children in other countries, who are of the ethnicity and religion of the people that you've got a problem with, and beat them up. It's not their fault. They might not even, I mean, if they're only youngsters themselves, they might even be aware of what's going on. So, yeah, although the lad's only 12 who's actually done this, I think he needs to be punished for it. Because where would it end? Especially in America. Holy, that's a big one. Says, well, other than looking at my nose, no one's ever said that to me. Video shows cops shock finding rattlesnake in a car search. Startling body cam footage captured a Colorado cop's surprise after discovering a massive hissing rattlesnake while searching a car, quipping that he knows from Steve Irwin documentaries how these things go. The video captured the terrifying snake rattling at the probing officer, who immediately dropped the lid of the bin containing the creature. Yeah, I think I would do as well. So we've had a scary bear, and now we've got a scary snake. Although I know all about scary bears. Hiya Angela, hi Rongan. American airline accused of blatant and erogenous race discrimination in kicking black passengers off a flight. American Airlines is being sued in federal court by 3 black New Yorkers who say they suffered blatant and erogenous oh yeah, race discrimination by being kicked off a JFK bound flight over fake complaints of being smelly. Xavier Veal, Emmanuel Jean Joseph and Alvin Jackson said they had just boarded the flight at Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport when an American Airlines steward asked them to leave due to complaints. So, oh, erogenous, yeah, wrong word completely. Diddy P allegedly whipped college girlfriend with a belt in front of screaming friends. Sean Diddy Coombs allegedly beat a college girlfriend all over the place with a belt in front of screaming classmates more than 30 years ago, according to a new investigation into growing accusations of abuse. The alleged incident unfolded when Coombs, now 54, was a student at Howard University in Washington, D.C. Why have these things only coming out now? Foreplay. Got a joke about foreplay later on, Rongan. Hang around for that one. Freed man who spent 12 years in prison for murder sues after key witness revealed to be blind. A Chicago man who spent 12 years in prison for murder before he was exonerated when investigators found out that the key witness had been legally blind and is now suing the city and police departments. Darren Harris was sentenced to 76 years in prison after being convicted in 2014 for a fatal shooting at a Southside gas station in 2011 when he was just 18. But it turned out the main witness was blind. You think that would be obvious, wouldn't it, when, you know, they used a guide dog to get in the witness box? Yeah, just saying. Trump mocks wacko Robert De Niro after Acton's Biden campaign press conference in New York City. Sympathetic and sad. Donald Trump skewered Robert De Niro Robert De Niro's waiting, being skewered by Trump, being skewered by Trump. Robert De Niro's being skewered by Trump. Calling the actor a wacko and mocking his participation in a Biden campaign press conference outside the Manhattan courthouse where the former president is being tried. I never knew how small both mentally and physically wacko former actor Robert De Niro was, Trump railed in a Truth Social post. It sounds reasonable. Air Force pilot injured after ejecting from $135 million F-35 fighter jet that crashed in New Mexico. An Air Force pilot was injured after ejecting his jet, which crashed in Albuquerque, New Mexico. The plane, which cost a cool $135 million, smashed into the ground just south of Albuquerque International Sunport around 1:15 p.m. after refueling at Kirtland Air Force Base. The only person aboard ejected and was injured, but good news is they're not life-threatening or life-changing injuries. Wrecked Gaza pier touted by Biden absolutely will resume deliveries, White House says. White House spokesman John Kirby insisted that the badly damaged temporary pier that President Biden unveiled in his State of Union address will resume aid deliveries to the Gaza Strip, while arguing it was never meant to be the primary method of delivering food and supply. I don't know why it's damaged. I don't think it's been attacked. I think it's just a temporary thing, and it's on a sea. And seas have a tendency of, well, I don't know, moving. So maybe that's got something to do with it. Anyway, we will find out in the future. Eastwood would knock him into the middle of next week. That is true, both of them. The brands Aussies don't trust. And Qantas is there. Amazon and TikTok. The question was, what brands do you trust the least? New research has outlined the most trusted and distrusted brands in Australia. The data for the March 24 quarter saw Woolworths and Coles plummet in public approval as frustration with the cost of living and high grocery prices continue to take their toll. As I've said many times before, it is not just the UK, it's not the Tories, it's not Labour, it's not even the EU, it's not Brexit. Prices are going up all over the world. All over the world. Anthony Albanese is the Prime Minister of Australia, and he says, I'm certainly not worried about our relationship with the United States because it's a relationship between our peoples based on shared values of democratic principles, which is one reason why I thought we should leave the EU and voted Brexit, because we started as 8 countries who had shared values of democratic principles and industry and religion, all that kind of stuff. Then just let everyone else in, it all went to pot as far as I was concerned. Anyway, Anthony Albanese has refused to directly weigh in on Donald Trump's guilty verdict, but says he isn't worried about Australia's relationship with the US. So this is basically, will Australia still deal with the US if a convicted criminal becomes president? Well, we don't know. They'll have to, won't they, I suppose. Meanwhile, that's Brisbane in Australia, blanketed with fog. Those there are the, okay, there aren't many, but they are the tower blocks of skyscrapers which are actually scraping through the clouds, living up to their name. Do you support Queensland's going cashless? Do you support Queensland going cashless? Question mark. The move towards a cashless society is causing distress among seniors who struggle with technology and online banking. National Seniors Australia have started the Keep Cash campaign to ensure cash remains accessible and accepted across the nation. Now, the problem with cashless society, in a way, it's a good idea because you just go beep and then you go. In a bad way, everyone has control of your money and you don't. So if there's no one takes cash anymore, and we're getting businesses that are cashless, we're getting stadiums that are cashless. If you go to gigs and things like that, where you go to is cashless, and it is not a good thing being cashless, because every time you use your phone or your card or your watch or whatever to pay for something, the owners of that device know where you are, how much you've spent, where you spent it. The shop knows who you are and how often you shop there. The banks know where you shop and everything. And if, as I've said before, if your bank, so say with Barclays Bank, and Barclays buy shares in Asda, what's to stop them saying that you can only shop at Asda because we have shares in Asda, and because it's cashless, where else are you going to shop? Because they'll stop your card everywhere else. That's extreme, but it is possible. Look what's going on in China, and more importantly, look what's going on in Australia. The number of times I've reported that the banks there have had problems, and people have not been able to get hold of the money, not been able to even pay cashless anywhere, or even get cash out of cash machines, even though that is still available. The whole thing is a control method, as far as I'm concerned, for people, for higher people up in the food chain, controlling everything you do, and it's not right. Don't agree with it. On a happy note though, cash is king, yes. Michael Jackson's chimpanzee Bubbles is still alive at 41 years old and living in Florida. Who knew? Michael Jackson's chimpanzee Bubbles, now 41, lives in a central zoo. Lives like, it doesn't wear clothes anymore or anything, it runs around naked, which I think is disgusting at that age. You wouldn't get... Well, okay. But yeah, still going strong. This is bizarre, isn't it? Trash carrying balloons have been launched from North Korea into South Korea. North Korea has launched hundreds of trash carrying balloons towards South Korea, thought to be in retaliation to activists flying anti-North Korean leaflets across the border. The balloons contain cigarettes butts, scraps of cloth, waste paper and vinyl, but no dangerous substances were found. Animal waste was in there as well. Various different. Yeah, I'm forever blowing bubbles. Michael, stop that, he doesn't like it. Queensland dubbed Bluey's World for real life in a new tourist campaign. Bluey being a very popular cartoon series and toy collectible thing now, as my granddaughter, who's 4, has got into Bluey recently. But building on the global phenomena, Queensland will be pitched as Bluey's World for real life in a new tourist campaign launched by Tourism and Events Queensland. The $9.2 million Australian million dollars, so about £5.50 campaign, is the TEQ's biggest campaign in more than a decade, encouraging travellers from all around the world to come and see Bluey's World and experience the Sunshine State's lifestyle. Problem is, if Bluey's not house trained or its owners don't look after himself, you're going to be standing in poop. Sorry, but it's going to happen. John Lennon's lost guitar sold for nearly $3 million American dollars, and you'll never guess where it was found. Lost, found and sold. John Lennon's missing guitar, featured in the Beatles' 1965 film Help, sold at an auction in New York's Hard Rock Cafe on Wednesday for over $2.8 million. Julian's auction confirmed in a statement that the famous Houtonnet 12-string acoustic guitar became the 5th most expensive guitar ever sold. The guitar was found in an attic after going missing 50 years ago. Yeah, in an attic. So you did guess. Well done. See, Alan knows everything. Half of all couples break up after their first trip together. These are the shocking reasons why. Well, it's because it's the first time usually couples are 24 hours, 7 days a week next to each other and with each other all the time. Your first trip may be your last. While many couples dream of a romantic rendezvous, the first trip together is the ultimate relationship test and all too often becomes a dating disaster. Half of all couples shockingly break up after their first joint jaunt, according to a recent report. Half the couples break up after their first joint getaway, according to Dating.com. It's probably just a way of getting more people to go on Dating.com. and make more money. I don't think it's probably true, to be fair. YouTubers might cheer you up more than certain people, says a study. Looking for a lift? Well, they're usually in tall buildings, but anyway. The answer might be YouTube. Watching videos on the ubiquitous social media site may make people happier than small talk with casual acquaintances or co-workers, according to new research. The research, which encompassed 3 studies that surveyed over 1,000 people in the UK and US, found that 52 respondents felt they had strong parasocial relationship, and 36% said they preferred to get their stuff online. So, like watching this, join in the chat, make friends. I don't know. This is the colour everyone will be wearing this summer, apparently. I mean, to be fair, the lady on the right isn't actually wearing that, it's just kind of on her. It's the creme de la creme of 2024 couture. Tastemasters from Tinseltown to TikTok are churning out the yummiest look of the year, virally making much to do over a deliciously hot hue and anointing the shade of the sunny season. The colour of the summer is butter yellow, announced New York City style influencer Isabel Michelle in a cyber sound-off as she twirled around in a mini dress from Shein. Content creators and Hollywood VIPs alike have hailed butter yellow the shade of today. Now, the good news for me is I don't need to actually buy anything that colour because my body's already that colour anyway. So, yeah, thank you. I'm now on trend. Who knew? Oh, we got someone else. Uh-oh, I've got wind. Hi, Billy. Hope you're good. Who'd have thought mingling with other half-dressed couples in the boiling sun and getting pissed every night would damage your relationship? Indeed. Who would have thought that coming? Oh, dear me. Anyway, let's move on, shall we, from the buttery whatever it was. Isaac Gabsa seemingly kills a bird with a shot at the US Women's Open in a wild scene. The Lancs golfers will go for a birdie. Sorry, this is just ridiculous. Isaac Gabsal's ball may have killed, or at least seriously wounded, a bird on the 12th hole during the opening round of the US Women's Open at Lancaster County Club in Pennsylvania. It's unclear whether Gabsa yelled for before her Randy Johnson impersonation. The 12th hole at Lancaster Country Club is not a birdie hole. Woohoo! Oh, the old jokes are the best. I hit a bird once with a van, or rather the bird hit the van, and it hit the ladder on the van, and I looked in my rear view. I was doing 70 mile an hour on the motorway, looked in my rear view door mirror, and it looked like a snowstorm behind me. I couldn't believe how many feathers there were. And then when I got back to Wigan, I was even more shocked to find that the bird was still on the thing. It got stuck and wedged, but it looked perfectly intact, like all the feathers were still there. I'm like, but there was a snowstorm of feathers on the M6. This was decades ago, but yeah. Is that a birdie shot? Oh dear. Could have been worse. It'd have been more impressive if she got an eagle. I don't know what that means, but it sounds good. New research upends what we've been told about tech before bed. Now, I must admit, I've always avoided this, but I do it all the time now. Doom scrolling in bed can ruin a good night's sleep, right? Well, maybe not, according to recent research that says tech before bed may not be as detrimental to slumber as previously thought. Researchers suggest that sensitivity to blue light and digital stimulation varies from person to person. For some, the screen use might even assist sleep. For others, reading an old-fashioned analogue book. An old-fashioned analogue book? An old-fashioned analogue book. I mean, I'm writing in my old-fashioned analogue book. I've never heard of a book being... I'm going to call them all old-fashioned analogue books now. Yes, we have old-fashioned analogue books. Next Justin I do, which features books, is going to have the word old-fashioned analog. Anyway, I digress. My sleeping thing now is when I go to bed, I make sure I'm cool, so I don't have heating on in the house, and I sleep better when I'm cool. So I have 2 sheets on me. They're not thick sheets; they're just cotton sheets and nothing else. And I lie on my side, this side, and I look at my phone, and I go through a few bits and pieces for about 10 or 15 minutes. Then I put the phone down, and then I roll over to the other side, and I get a bit tired, and I roll back again, and I fall asleep. And that can take about 20 minutes, half an hour. And it works for me every night without fail. Except for the ones where I don't fall asleep straight away and I'm up for hours. But that's usually because I've had some caffeine or something that is artificially keeping me awake. But yeah, that's looking at my phone before I go to bed is my thing. Usually, not YouTube. I don't have the sound on, obviously. But like news headlines on Snapchat or Instagram or something like that, have a quick gander. Too much info? What? I have sheets on me when I'm in bed. Ooh, too much information. How much are tickets to see 80s icon Joe Jackson in his 2024 tour? Now, I'll be honest with you, he's looking good, Joe Jackson, because he looked like that in the 1980s. Vivid Seats is the New York Port's official ticket partnering. We receive many revenue. We may receive revenue from this partnership from sharing this content, and if you make a purchase. So basically it's an advertisement, but I don't care, because Joe Jackson is stepping out, stepping out into the night. But my favourite one was, you're all the same, you're all the same, don't talk to me about love, no, not love the same. Don't you know that it's different for girls? Don't tell me love. Anyway, yeah, he's touring. He's back, and he's apparently an icon in America. Who knew? He wasn't that big in the UK. I think there were his only 2 hits, but I did buy them both. Lenny Kravitz is celibate and hasn't been in a serious relationship in 9 years. No sex, no problem. Lenny Kravitz is 60. God, I hope I'll look that good when I'm 60. And he's celibate for spiritual reasons and hasn't been in a serious relationship in 9 years. I have become very set in my ways, in the way I live, he told The Guardian in an interview published. Lenny Kravitz on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. For me, it's 17 years. I'm very happy. That's too much information. There you go. You wanted too much information, you got it. He must have 4 arms like Popeye. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. Israel allows vendors to sell fresh food in Gaza for the first time since October the 7th. The Israeli military has reopened a key source for food for the Gaza Strip, allowing fresh fruit, vegetables and dairy goods from Israel and the West Bank to be sold in the Palestinian territory for the first time since the October 7th attacks. The move, reported by Reuters, comes as the Israeli Defense Forces offensive in Rafah continues to choke the delivery of international aid. So they're trying to do something, apart from, slaughter people. Allegedly. 8 habits that may slow aging, reduce your risk of death. Look before you cross a road. Don't jump out of an upstairs window. Always make sure the lift is in the shaft when the door opens. That's 3. Researchers believe that adopting 8 healthy behaviours identified by the American Heart Association as Life Essential 8 can slow the aging process and reduce the risk of heart disease, stroke and death. Our message is that everyone should be mindful of the 8 heart disease and stroke health factors. Eat healthy foods, be more active, quit tobacco, get healthy sleep, manage weight and maintain healthy cholesterol, blood sugar and blood pressure levels. I mean, most of them you can't actually figure out whether you've got them or not. Never catch a lift on my own. Is that another one? Do you think you'll be safer if there's someone else in the lift? Wheel of Fortune contestant speaks out after viral NSFW answer and reveals how Pat Shag reacted off camera. A Good Sport Wheel of Fortune contestant Travaris Williams spoke out after going viral for a shocking NSFW answer on the show. Williams incorrectly guessed right up the butt while trying to solve a phrase puzzle, leading to wild reactions from other contestants. There was a thing as well, wasn't there, in the UK where it was motorway service station. It's just been on the Gogglebox best of, and it says service station and obviously motorway, and the woman's still going for letters and buying vowels and things like that, and I'm like, what is going on? Anyway, British couple gets showered with vulgar abuse outside Trump trial. Take your tea and get the count. Angry supporters of Donald Trump hurled nasty abuse at a British couple who visited the former president's hush money trial, with angry crowds shouting to the king and take your tea and get the out of my park. The British woman looked amused as she's told the king, and we hate you here, you nasty old illiberal prick. So yeah, I think Americans don't actually get the fact that the Brits don't actually give a shit what the Americans think about them, even in America. Yeah, I had a glitch as well, to be fair. It is amazing he's more likely to be president, but there you go. Most say Trump conviction in New York hush money case won't change their presidential vote poll. 2/3 of Americans say a conviction of former President Donald Trump on charges of falsifying business records will not affect their decision on election day, according to a new poll, while 67% of registered voters told the survey that a guilty verdict will make no difference to their votes. The percentage then ticked up to 69% after the verdict was given. 69, Donald Trump's favourite number. High school forced to apologise for praising Jesus in graduation speech in order to get his diploma. Kentucky High School has been forced to apologise for speaking about his faith and praising Jesus at graduation in order to get his diploma after a furious school administrators withheld it. Micah Price received his diploma from Campbell County High School 5 days after the now infamous ceremony where he told his peers that Jesus is the way. Now, I must admit, when I see award ceremonies, mainly in America, and someone wins an award and the first thing they say, I'd like to thank God, I'd like to thank Jesus, I instantly turn off. I just go to a different channel. And like, by all means, you believe in whatever fairy tale you want, that's fine, doesn't matter what religion you are, they're all fairy tales. You believe in whatever you want, absolutely fine, but don't try and convince me or other people to follow your stories. I'm not interested in that kind of thing. So as soon as you start talking about it, I'm out of here. But I don't think he should be punished for doing it in that respect. He was just happy. Trump Jr. gives inside look at room where he and Dad Donald are waiting for the verdict with Diet Coke, chips and candy. Crisps to me and you. Donald Trump Jr. revealed the private area where he and his dad are taking a break as jurors began deciding the former president's fate. In a TikTok video, Don Jr. showed the echoing white room where he and Trump awaited his verdict, sitting at a wooden table holding junk food including a bottle of Diet Coke, bag of Lay's Walkers, potato chips, crisps and a box of milk tray. Box of milk tray. Maybe not milk tray. And all the ladies love milk tray. Supreme Court clears the way for NRA's free speech lawsuit against ex-New York official. The Supreme Court on Thursday cleared the way for a National Rifle Association lawsuit against a former New York State official over claims she violated its free speech rights. The unanimous opinion reverses a lower court decision tossing out the gun rights group's lawsuit against ex-New York State Department of Financial Services Superintendent Maria Vullo. So basically, she said something they didn't agree with. They wanted to say something back. They weren't allowed to, but now they are. But to be fair, although I don't agree with the NRA in any way, shape or form, they still have a right to free speech. Cop charged for hosting sex party for underage girls is a bad guy. I can think of other words. Nonce, pedo, you know. But I know, bad guy. A Florida police officer has been arrested for allegedly hosting a party involving drugs, alcohol and sex acts with 4 teenage girls. He was hit with 4 felony and 6 misdemeanor charges over the inappropriate behaviour that allegedly occurred over the weekend of February the 3rd. Two 18-year-old girls, a 17-year-old girl and a 16-year-old girl were involved, all of whom in America are underage. Next, Trump's hush money trial live updates. Jury to deliberate for second day. Juries in the hush money trial against Donald Trump are entering a second day of deliberations on Thursday in the historic criminal case against the former President Trump. He is charged with 34 counts of falsifying business records relating to a $130,000 hush money payment to his former fixer, lawyer Michael Cohen, made then to the porn star Stormy Daniels just before the 2016 presidential election. That's basically it in a nutshell. What would the verdict be? We all waited with breath, because if we didn't wait with breath, we'd die. North Korea says 18 missile barrage was warning to South's gangster regime. North Korea said on Friday it had fired 18 short-range ballistic missiles during a drill as a demonstration of its willingness to launch a preemptive strike against South Korea's gangsters regime if necessary to counter an attack. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un guiding the firing drill of the 600mm super large in quotation marks, multiple rocket launchers on Thursday. Yeah, it's going to be a great trial, the best trial in the world. Yep, except that's not what he said. He said it was going to be an absolute sham. Ivanka Trump breaks silence after father is found guilty in hush money case. I love you, Dad. Well, you have to say that, don't you, because he's your dad, even though he is a convicted criminal. I mean, that's one of many things you can say. But we'll go with convicted criminal. Donald Trump is a licensed gun owner. Here's what will happen to his firearms after his felony conviction. Licensed gun owner Donald Trump will have to turn over all of his firearms in the coming weeks now that he's been found guilty of felonies in the Manhattan hush money case. Under New York state and federal law, convicted felons are banned from possessing any type of firearm, and the former president must have his weapons legally passed off to another person. It's just be one of his cronies, won't it? So he'll still be able to get at them. But there you go, what can you do? Guilty on all counts, Donald Trump responds by calling trial rigged. Donald Trump was found guilty on all 34 felony counts in the Manhattan hush money case for covering up a scheme to corrupt the 2016 election. In a statement to the media, the former president called the unprecedented trial rigged following the verdict. He will be sentenced on July the 11th. Be careful what you say, Trump might be watching this. I had to turn over my air pistol. Alright, so you can get to the safety off quicker. That's very wise, to be fair. Truckers sue New York over controversial $15 congestion toll to enter Manhattan. Commercial trucker drivers have joined the long list of opponents who file lawsuits to block the controversial First in Nation congestion toll to enter parts of Manhattan. The Trucking Association of New York, TANY, slammed the congestion pricing program as unconstitutional and a scheme for which there is no prior precedent in this country, which is true. However, there's many precedents in other countries, and none of them are going down well with the locals in any way, shape or form, and rightly so, if you don't mind me saying. Biden gives Ukraine permission to use US weapons to attack Russia. President Biden has given, we've covered this earlier, but we'll go again, Ukraine the green light to use the US provided weapons to hit some targets in Russian territory, according to a US official. The president recently directed his team to ensure that Ukraine is able to use the US supplied weapons for counter-fire purposes in the Kharkiv region, so Ukraine can hit back against Russian forces that are attacking them or preparing to attack them. Now, they have attacked in Russian soil before, but I don't think they've used American weapons, and like I said earlier, Germany have also said that they can use their weapons as well. I don't think they can fly American planes over Russia. I think it's just firing in, because Russia is using Russia as cover to fire into Ukraine, but Ukraine has not been allowed to fire back with weapons that would reach them. Shares of Truth Social owner Trump Media tumble after ex-president found guilty in New York City. Shares of Trump Media and Technology Group, the owner of social networking site Truth Social, slumped after former President Donald Trump was convicted in his hush money trial. I mean, I've never been on Truth Social. I have no intention of going on Truth Social. I mean, you know, he talks about fake news and all that kind of gubbins. But then he's got Truth Social, which, yeah. New York City Council campaigning to finish adding 151 new public bathrooms, toilets. City Council is pushing to provide more places for New Yorkers to do their business by forcing the city agencies to finish adding 151 new public restrooms, according to the 5 boroughs. The issue was pushed during an infrastructure meeting by City Council, who noted so far only 55 of the planned public restrooms have even reached the stage of being planned, never mind being installed. Because, like over here, a lot of public toilets were shut down because they were too expensive to maintain and they got vandalised, things like that. And now it's very difficult to go for a pee anywhere unless you want to pay 20p in a bus station. Yeah, I agree that there should be more public toilets, as long as they are not suitable for people to use them for drug dens and things like that. New Yorkers react after Donald Trump found guilty in historic conviction. Watch the emotional reactions in New York after Donald Trump was found guilty on all counts in a historic verdict as part of the hush money case. The case marked the first time in US history that a former president stood trial on criminal charges, and the outcome divided many Americans, with Trump supporters outraged and foes elated. I feel for the Ukrainian men on the front line. Imagine sitting on a trench and seeing your girlfriend on porno. Evil world. Billy, where is his campaign donations coming from? Who the hell wants him back as president? You'd be amazed. As we said earlier on, 69% of people said they would vote for him in an opinion poll in Texas, or somewhere down south anyway, which is a Trump stronghold. It's a bit like, you know, if you had the kid at school or college who was always causing trouble and always getting into trouble and always getting suspended or whatever, they always treated the suspension as a badge of honour. Look what I'm doing. I've been suspended. I'm such a good bad lad. And that's basically what people in America think of Donald Trump. They just think he's fantastic because, you know, he doesn't care. He can do whatever he wants. He raised 58 million in a couple of hours. Yeah, and that was after he'd been found guilty. The Yanks won him back. Quite a few Tories won him back as well. It has to be said. In the UK, they seem to think he's a safer pair of hands. It's one thing I don't agree with them on, but you know. Talking of former advertising campaigns for Warburton's bread, Sylvester Stallone is auctioning off Holy Grail of watches of part of a $7.5 million collection. Sly might be late on set. Sylvester Stallone is auctioning off part of his staggering 7.5 million watch collection at Sotheby's starting on June the 5th. The highlight of the lot is the Rocky Star's Patek Philippe Grandmaster Chime, considered the holy grail of the watch community, which could fetch between $2.5 and $5 million. It must be, he's not earning enough money now. No worries, Angela, you take care. Yeah, they've been after him for years with sham charges. Well, it depends what you call sham charges. If he's been found guilty of something, it's not a sham, is it? Yeah, just saying. Donald Trump's felony conviction could keep him from visiting certain countries. Now that he's a convicted felon, former President Donald Trump might find it difficult to travel internationally. A number of nations prohibit tourists convicted of felony crimes from applying for travel visas, including the United States. Trump should have no problem entering visa-exempt countries like Argentina, Canada, Japan, South Africa and the United Kingdom, which is good for him because he has the thing in Scotland. But you've got to remember, the golf club in Scotland, but you've got to remember, if Scotland gets independence, they can vote to kick him out. Kick him out, kick him out, kick him out, and all that. I think JT's long gone, to be fair. JT, Angela's saying good night to you, even though you're at work listening to this and it's not night. 10-year-old Sammy Touche was bullied, please confirm, but no charges will be found over his suicide. Little Sammy Touche endured bullying in and outside of school before he took his own life earlier this month, but no one will be charged in connection to his death. In the heartbreaking case, the 10-year-old Indiana boy died on May the 5th from asphyxiation by strangulation suicide. I mean, when I was a kid, I wasn't bullied, but I had very major issues about my body, which is why I think I'm so blasé about it now. It's just trying to convince people that no matter what you look like, your body's your body, enjoy it. But I know people who were bullied. I wasn't a bully either, although Wigan Council might disagree about that. But it's just horrendous that a 10-year-old child feels the only way out is to kill themselves. And social media has got a lot to do with that. There's people trying to say now that people under the age of 16 should not have smartphones with apps on and things like that. And I'm thinking, yeah, that kind of makes sense. But even before apps, my daughter, who had a brick phone, was getting abuse from so-called friends via text. So I don't think the smartphones makes much of a difference, other than obviously publishing photographs and videos of people in compromising positions, like, I don't know, getting changed in the changing rooms or something like that, which I can imagine goes on. But no, it's just horrendous that a 10-year-old feels the urge, and the only way to get away from his tormentors is to kill himself. Beggars belief. A 6-week-old mauled to death by a family husky while sleeping in his crib. A 6-week-old baby sleeping in his crib was mauled to death by the family's dog. While his parents turned their grief, little Ezra Mansour succumbed to his injuries 6 days after the seemingly tame husky attacked him in his Knoxville, Tennessee home. Being his mum was the biggest honour and the best thing I've ever done, the infant's grieving mother, Chloe Mansour, said. Now, huskies generally are a really nice dog and loving and everything, so I don't know what's gone wrong there. And I hope that it is just something bizarre that clicked in the husky, and this is not some kind of weird cover-up thing, you know what I mean. Could Donald Trump get jail time? Don't think the political games are done just yet, because Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg and Judge Juan Merchan have engineered a kangaroo court conviction of President Donald Trump, allegedly. Sentencing is still ahead. Conveniently, for anti-Trump supporters, Merchan set the hearing for July the 11th, just 4 days before the Republican convention opens. That gives him perfect time to look at the polls and see President Biden needs yet more help. If Trump's current narrow lead increases in the next 6 weeks, bet on a custodial sentence. But will that make him a martyr? I mean, you know, British politics is messed up, but American politics, my God, it's insane. Sharks can forecast hurricanes weeks ahead, experts suggest. Sink your teeth into this bit of news. Sharks may be more useful than meteorologists when it comes to long-term hurricane forecasting. To be honest, I'll give them that. I mean, our meteorologists are coming up with, in weather, it's going to be the hottest January ever, it's going to be the coldest January ever, it's going to be the wettest January ever, it's going to be the windiest January ever, all in the same day. Absolute nonsense. Well, apparently, the clues can be found in their migration patterns. Like dogs and birds before a thunderstorm, sharks who smell trouble will typically move en masse into deeper waters weeks in advance. Or maybe it's just the fact they do that anyway, and hurricanes and everything, always, because they have a season, don't they? They call it the hurricane season. So maybe the sharks, it's their season for going into deeper water. It's got nothing to do with hurricanes. It's weeks in advance. They can't know. Nonsense. Fake news. Sorry. Guilty in all... Oh, no, I've done that one. Oh, no. Guilty in all counts, Donald Trump responds by calling trial... Yeah, I've done that one. Rigged. Why have I gone back on my mouth? Well, I don't know. Why? Dum-de-dum-de-dum. What's that one? Biden twice... Oh, no. I've done that one as well. What is going on here? I've had duplicates of some stuff here. I do apologise. Just bear with me for a few moments while I sort myself out. Oh, that's her again. So we'll go to that one. Don't think we've done this one. Maldives will ban Israelis from entering the country over the war in Gaza. Colombo, Sri Lanka. The Maldives government will ban Israelis from the Indian Ocean archipelago, known for luxury resorts, as public anger in the predominantly Muslim nation rises over the war in Gaza. I'm not sure that's the right thing to do, because the majority of people, the majority of Israelis, may not be for the war, and may also be aware that if they go somewhere like that, they may get some abuse, so may choose not to go there. But to ban them from going there seems a bit draconian, in my opinion. Last minute computer issues halt Boeing rocket launch moments before takeoff in yet another failure. Now you've got to remember that the two aeroplane crashes of the 737 MAX, which killed 300 odd people, were caused by computer issues. Basically the computers misread the data coming through and put it into anti-stall, and the pilots couldn't override it because the plane thought it was right. And both planes crashed, which is why they were grounded for so long. And now another computer on a Boeing vehicle, admitted it's a Stargazer rocket, Starliner, sorry, rocket, it was 3 minutes and 50 seconds. As I said last week, would you go up on a penis-shaped Boeing rocket? I wouldn't. I'll tell you that for now. Amsterdam asked Brits not to visit and the press thought it was funny. That is true, Rongham. Trump warns of national breaking point if he's thrown in jail or placed under house arrest. House arrest in Trump Towers or Mar-a-Lago? I know which one I'd sooner choose. Former President Donald Trump says he wouldn't mind, but the 45th President warned that any form of confinement following his historic unprecedented conviction could bring the nation to its breaking point. I'm okay with it. I saw one of my lawyers the other day on television saying, oh no, you don't want that. But, yeah, I think, to be fair, house arrest is probably the best thing they can do for him. I don't think putting him in jail is going to do anyone any good. So I think house arrest is probably the safest thing for him and for the country. But it's going to cause major issues. And, yeah, make him a martyr. And he'll still be able to do his stuff from his house, I suppose. Build a studio in his garden or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, we'll see. 10,000 human remains found on serial killer's farm, and authorities are still identifying victims. For years, a peaceful $1 million farm in Indiana hid a dark secret. It was a serial killer's playground. When cops finally raided Herb Baumeister's 18-acre property in Westfield North of Indianapolis, they uncovered some 10,000 pieces of human remains, mostly crushed and burned. Skeletal fragments of the teenage boys and young men whom he had abducted and sexually assaulted. Yeah. 10,000 human remains, and they've only caught them now. America, sorry, you can police her. Adele goes off on a homophobic fan at her Las Vegas residency and says, "Shut up." Well, that'll teach him, won't it? More like goodbye. Adele told off a homophobic audience member during a Las Vegas residency show on the first day of Pride Month on Saturday night. The fan yelled out, "Pride sucks," and the Hello singer, 36, swiftly put the person in their place. "Did you come to my show and just say that Pride sucks? Are you stupid?" Adele said from on stage. I can imagine her saying that as well, because I remember before she became massively famous 20 odd years ago, she used to appear on Radio 1 as a regular guest on regular shows, just have the piss taken out of her. And she's got one of the most evil laughs ever. And, you know, like you've got what's he called, Jimmy Carr, who does a kind of laugh. Well, she's like a it's like Barbara Windsor on I don't know, just insane laugh she's got. So you can imagine it's just telling this person to cough. However, a whole month does get me as well a little bit, that. The man who jumped from world's largest cruise ship fell 90 feet to his death. The passenger who jumped from the world's largest cruise ship last Sunday fell a staggering 90 feet to his death. And staff on board knew exactly what had happened practically before he hit the water. The man who has not been identified jumped from the running track on the 5th level of the Royal Caribbean's Icon of the Seas, one of the first days of its week-long voyage. Yeah, they'll have cameras everywhere, won't they? They'll have to check for that. But 90 foot, you ain't getting up from that one. Never mind if the ship could turn around quick enough to actually try and rescue you. You ain't surviving that. A Chinese spacecraft lands on the moon's far side to collect rocks in growing space rivalry with the US. This is the second attempt that China have had on getting a spaceship to land on moon. To be fair, pretty rapid after the first one. A Chinese spacecraft landed on the far side of the moon on Sunday to collect soil and rock samples that could provide insights into differences between the less explored region and the better known near side. The landing module touched down at 6:23 AM Beijing time in a huge crater known as the South Pole Aitken Basin. So yeah, successful landing, which is good, and we'll see what they find. They're on the dark side of the moon. They'll probably bump into Ozzy Osbourne then, won't they? But hey, see what I did there? Yeah, okay, I'll move on. Arizona high school teacher Mitchell Rutherford quits job over students' cell phone addiction. They can't put it away. Is this the one about the cell phone? An Arizona high school teacher blamed his students' rampant use of their phones in the classroom for the decline of his mental health, which he says has forced him to quit his job. Mitchell Rutherford, who taught biology at Sahara High School in Tucson, Arizona for over a decade, has quit because he can't get the attention of the students. Why don't they just have something around the school that blocks the signal? Donald Trump attends UFC 302 just days after guilty verdict in hush money trial and gets a hero welcome as well. Donald Trump arrived at UFC 302 at the Prudential Center in Newark to a raucous reaction on Saturday night. The former president, who frequently attends the fights, had posted on Truth Social that he would be in attendance earlier in the day. Former President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, is seen in attendance during the UFC event. It's interesting that he got basically a hero's welcome. It's also incredibly scary. Boeing executives unlikely to be charged in 737 MAX crashes that killed 346 people. Boeing executives are unlikely to be criminally charged over fatal crashes in 2018 and 2019 that killed 346 people, as the statute of limitations has likely passed. So basically it's gone on for too long. I mean, it's not long, is it? It's 5 years. Details were corroborated by a person familiar with the gathering and correspondence reviewed by Reuters. The deadline for prosecuting most federal crimes is 5 years. Now, it might have been earlier had not the whistleblowers in the case all shot themselves multiple times in the head in various car parks by committing suicide before they gave evidence. So yeah, cover up. Boeing, most corrupt company in the world. Certainly one of the most dangerous, I would have said. Certainly not the most corrupt, no, but certainly dangerous. Trump remains composed as ever. A guilty verdict won't impact his sleep or campaign, and some people say he's a warrior. Yeah, some people say other things, but you know, we'll go with warrior. Climate activist arrested for slapping apocalyptic sticker of a Monet painting in Paris. This will leave a bad impression. See what they did there. An environmental protester was arrested for slapping a sticker over famed painter Claude Monet's poppy fields at the Musée d'Orsay in Paris. The woman covered most of the piece with a sticky blood-red sign depicting the same exact scene, post-apocalyptic. The activist was with the group Riposte Alimentaire, French for food response. So basically, another absolute tosser who has got nothing better to do than come up with loads of bull chip stuff to do. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on, shall we? Let's move on to something more interesting, which is the news that makes you go, ah, or, oh, or, oh my God, what? And that's the one that gets me every time. So here we go. Okay, and the news that makes you go, Boeing gearing up for military production, $1 million for a light bulb. Hello Urban Blonde, hope you're well. Start off with a Banksy, we like a Banksy. There you go, it's a Banksy. I mean, that's all you're getting. If you don't like birds, close your eyes until I say you can open your eyes again. Particularly if you don't like being very close to birds. Psycho Seagulls get own party in UK's first festival celebrating winged menaces. Gullfest in Plymouth, Devon has been launched to celebrate everyone's favourite chip-snatching seaside squawking bird with around 40 performances across several art forms, including, I would imagine, that kid who does impressions of seagulls. Anyway, if you're scared, you can look back now. You'd still get to see my face, so you probably better look it away again. YouTuber iShowSpeed joins hundreds hurling themselves down a hill for iconic events. The unofficial Gloucestershire cheese rolling event at Cooper's Hill near Brockworth has already crowned its 2024 champion, Tom from Germany, who was among dozens who defied safety warnings, including iShowSpeed, who ended up being taken to the emergency tent after injuring himself coming down the hill. It's basically a hill like that, and they're chasing cheese like you do. UK is running out of ghosts, as old spirits are dying off, paranormal expert says. No, people who believe in ghosts are dying off, and they're not turning into ghosts because ghosts don't exist, and therefore people like me who don't believe in ghosts are not seeing ghosts because we don't believe in them, because they don't exist. It's got nothing to do with Britain running out of ghosts, it's just got people who believe in ghosts dying and not becoming ghosts because ghosts don't exist. We're so disappointed. Well, they won't be because they're dead. Anyway, Prince George and his siblings could be called up for national service at 18. Well, obviously. But don't all members of the royal family end up doing stuff for the army anyway? I mean, look at Harry. He ended up flying Apache helicopters. Prince Andrew, another one we don't talk about very often, but he was a hero in the Falklands flying helicopters. King Charles himself was in the Navy, as was his father, the Duke of Edinburgh. Even the former Queen, who's passed away, when she was a military mechanic in the war. All royal members of the family have been at certain points of their life in the army. It's what they do. Trump crowned fattest president, from McDonald's addiction to Ozempic rumours. The Republican nominee has never shielded away from his fast food and reportedly ate McDonald's every day during his hush money trial. Recent evidence has shown where he ranks amongst his fellow presidents. He flew an Apache over Anglesey. He probably did. And I imagine many people have thrown Apaches over Anglesey. I mean, I'll be honest with you, they're a bit heavy for me, unless it's a baby, in which case I could probably throw it, but only in Anglesey for a very short space. I couldn't throw an Apache over Anglesey. That would be anyway. Rain is good for you and actually makes people happy, expert study claims. Now that's bull. I mean, let's be honest, that's Rishi Sunak. Don't think he likes rain. A man brags about his gravy pizza, but Brits say he needs to seek help. A bloke has shared a snap of a bizarre pizza he made at home, and it sparked a huge debate, with some people saying the creation belongs in prison. It's pretty easy to see why they made the joke. No, it's not. Maybe someone can explain it to me. Billionaire to take new sub to Titanic wreck after implosion killed 5 people. Real estate investor Larry Connor has pledged to go in a 2-man mission to plunge the 12,400 feet underwater to visit the Titanic shipwreck to prove underwater travel is safe. Now, if you're spending a couple of £1 million on something rather than using a former oil tug, as in a chip fat oil tub thing as your submarine, then you probably can do it. Yeah. Home Alone house goes up for sale for £4.1 million, but fans say the owners have massacred it. The Home Alone house, which was the setting for the 1990 family favourite festive film, has been put up for sale, but fans are not happy with the interior of the property. I mean, surely if you buy it and you're a big fan, you can turn it back. And let's be honest, a lot of the interior was in a studio. That's how they work. Our picturesque photograph has been ruined by massive penis-shaped detail. A pair taking a walk in the Brecon Beacons found their picturesque photo ruined by an X-rated detail they only noticed when they got home, to the delight of Reddit users. And I'm like, I don't see it. So, let's have a closer look, shall we? Let's see if we can see whatever the hell this is. I can only assume it's that thing there. Or it might be that person, because that person, especially with the red head, does look a bit like a weird penis. I'm not an expert on penises, I'll be honest. Whoops. Anyway, shall we carry on with the news where you are? There we go. So much difficult to do this whilst doing the show as well. Anyway, we'll keep going. There we go. Right then. So no idea what that was about. But anyway, let's continue. Continue, shall we? Aliens might be called up for national service if they land in the UK, AI says. Quizzed by the Daily Star, Google's artificial intelligence software Gemini described the humanoid and floating organism fighters that could possibly join the ranks of British Teen Army personnel. Yeah, I'm sure that aliens would love to come over, and how old are you? 18 years. Right, you have to go into our British Army. The dark side of puppets from Kidnap to Curse as Netflix creates psycho thriller. Here Kim Carr pulls on the strings of creepy puppet stories from around the world as Netflix Eric star Benedict Cumberbatch as a puppeteer hits the screens on Thursday. And I did that because that picture to me just looks like some kind of sex toy gone wrong. Talking of penises. Anyway, gun-firing robot dogs unveiled by China as latest weapon in Black Mirror warfare. China has revealed its latest military weapon during a recent training drill. They've turned man best friend into a lethal killing machine as they show off gun-mounting robotic dogs. Well, that's not a man's best friend because it's robotic. And also, why is it an actual machine gun? Is that so that if the thing gets damaged, someone can come along and take the machine gun off the damaged dog thing and use it manually? Because surely I would have thought the machine gun would have been built into. And what happens when it runs out of rounds? How does it I mean, this thing is flawed, isn't it? If you look, it's got a clip on it. When that runs out, how does it reload a clip? Yeah, nonsense. A person sucked into a plane engine in front of passengers. Yeah, tragic tale of someone walking past an engine of an aeroplane and got sucked into it whilst passengers were actually on board looking out the windows, which I can imagine would be horrific. A dramatic volcano eruption sends lava spewing. A state of emergency is declared in Iceland. The Met Office saying there was an increased seismic activity that had been recorded before this eruption, which is going on. It's the Curtin eruption that they have in Iceland, and they had it in the 1970s. It was amazing, and it's going on for 2.5 miles or thereabouts. PG Tips fan mourn Monkey's retirement after spotting favourite Bureau's new ad. Fans of PG Tips have been left devastated after discovering mascot Monkey has been retired from the adverts, and people are demanding his immediate return. It's a fucking puppet. But I did get a monkey toy with the PG Tips for my mum, because she liked Monkey as well. Although ironically, that isn't a picture of the monkey. That's a picture of Johnny Vegas, just in case you're a bit confused. They did it with the chimpanzees. They used to use real life chimpanzees. You want it, I'll play it. And they stopped doing it, and people went mad. So they had to bring the chimpanzees back again in more modern adverts. And then people said, "Why are you doing that? You're torturing these animals. It's cruel for the animals." So then they stopped doing it, and then they brought in Monkey, which is why Monkey's a monkey, I assume. North Korea sends dirty balloons with explosive bags of poo to South Korea. Lovely. I'll buy that for $1. Pilot killed by aliens after seeing huge metallic object over military base. A new book called Death by UFO has claimed the mysterious death of US Air Force captain in 1948 was at the hands of a killer alien after the pilot disappeared into the sky. Meanwhile in Britain, ladies and gentlemen, a British summer bank holiday, and its people sat on what looks like a beer garden next to a river, with the tables are sat on pretty much underwater, but they still sat at the tables anyway because we're British and we just carry on. It's bank holiday, we ain't giving up for no one. Unlike this. Storm damages the world's largest floating solar farm. How typical is that for the UK? Incredibly typical for the UK, let's be honest. So yeah, bizarrely, a solar farm that floats has been damaged by a storm. Really? Who saw that coming? These people. A burglar can bring legal claim over a police dog bite. What is wrong with the world? Jimmy Carr, you'll say something funny. I had an out-of-body experience. I was beside myself. I thank you. Keir Starmer and Rishi Sunak are out and about doing electoral stuff. More about that tomorrow. But Rishi either was set up or just happened to be stood in the wrong place at the wrong time? In Milton Keynes, Rishi Sunak repeats his pledge to scrap Mickey Mouse degrees. Yeah, the irony. That he's not wearing Mickey Mouse ears. That's actually a piece of equipment behind him that has two black dots on it that just look like Mickey ears at that angle. Everton assessing options as 777 misses takeover deadline. So Everton Football Club, which is already in a lot of danger from various other external things going on, like being deducted points whilst other teams are not deducted points and win the Premier League, are now facing bankruptcy because they've not been bought out and they owe lots of money. But some people have a sense of humour. Texas restaurant slammed for using photos of Caitlyn Jenner before and after her transition on bathroom doors. So before on the right as an athlete running for America, and on the left as a model. And then Caitlyn Jenner has actually said herself, make memes great again, funny as hell. So someone is saying that the restaurant has taken the mickey and taken advantage, but the actual person involved thinks it's hilarious. So thank God someone has still got a sense of humour in this world, even if it is Caitlyn Jenner. I mean, things are getting bad when that's the highlight of the week. Nail manufacturers fight back against the commercial success of the super strong adhesive No More Nails by rebranding your nails as No More Nails. Genius. That's some actual Viz magazines from the noughties been traded into the shop, and it's not that long ago, but you're like, God, they can't be writing this kind of stuff now. I know Viz is still a thing, but I might buy one just to see how tame it is. Yeah, a seal having some chips. Oh no, it's not. It's a massive painting by Banksy of a seagull eating what look like chips, but they're not. They're bits of cardboard and wood in a skip. But yeah, scale. Everything's about scale, isn't it? Everton at risk of going bust as takeover collapse is confirmed. Biffa Bacon. Yep. The fat slags. Buster Gonad and his unfeasibly large testicles. British men spend on average 22 minutes on foreplay. Of course, that is spread out between all of us over the course of a year. Thank you. Actually, it's my throat doing that. I'm not doing that again. Youngest Russian to die in Ukraine war, and an eerie I'm doomed prophecy. The young Russian was just one of thousands from the country to take on the Kremlin's rhetoric and sign up to fight in the ongoing slaughter in the fields and cities in and around Ukraine. I mean, the poor lad, he might have been brainwashed and thinking he was doing good, but yeah, lost his life. Doubt he was the youngest, to be fair. I mean, just think of all the kids that the Russians have killed in Ukraine. Band driver stuns judge by dialing into court from behind the wheel. Corey Harris was appearing before a court charged with driving without a licence, but gave courtroom attendees something to laugh about when he phoned in from behind the wheel of a car. Big for Bacon was Fred West. You're a wrong 'un, you are. He's a wrong 'un. Russia is telling its soldiers death does not exist as they are sent to holy war. Russia has resorted to desperate measures to recruit soldiers to the failing war effort by telling them they will be resurrected and are fighting a holy war in Ukraine. Well, the war is full of holes, I'll give you that. A more picturesque picture of the Home Alone house. Whether we remember it fondly from our childhood or watch it every year, there's no denying Home Alone is a Christmas classic. And now the iconic house where Kevin McAllister laid his traps has hit the property market. Yeah, decent house. 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. Well, I mean, let's go regression. 13th century holy wars. Hi John Higginbotham, hi DJX. Horny mums are desperate to bonk Jacob Rees-Mogg because of his raw sexuality. Now, I'm not that way inclined, I'll be honest with you, but I've never looked at Jacob Rees-Mogg and been jealous of his raw sexuality. His impeccable manners. Yes, as well. Remember when he just kind of sprawled during the COVID inquiry stuff going on in the House of Commons? Just sprawled on the thing. I mean, that's not impeccable manners. He's as rude as dog shit. Stormy Daniels tells Melina, dump Donald Trump now for these 2 reasons. But we'll never find out what they are because I don't go for clickbait. While other members of the Trump family rallied around him during the proceedings, Melina's absence of speculation about the state of their 19-year marriage. Well, she's better off divorcing him now because at least she's got some fortune left she can have half of, where if she leaves it too long, then that ain't happening. And then finally, Nessie Hunter's promised to leave no stone unturned in search for elusive peace. Now, it's the Loch Ness Monster. I reckon if the stone is smaller than that, you don't need to, turn it over. I don't think a monster can live under a rock that little. I reckon you better see it. So absolutely nonsense. And as I've said many times before, we live in an age now where all cameras are 4K, some are even more than that. Video cameras, photographic cameras, even your phone for God's sake. So why are we getting such shitty images like it was 1950? I mean, this is a clearer picture, and it's obviously a picture of the Loch Ness Monster from 1752. So there you go. And that is the funny news of the week. Imagine Jacob Rees-Mogg walking into McDonald's and chatting to teenagers. Yeah, let's not. I don't imagine Jacob Rees-Mogg doing anything, I'll be honest with you. Anyway, the news is breaking fast at the minute. So it is time to look at what is going on around the news whilst I've been on air. So this is breaking news. And there isn't any at the moment. Are we witnessing the death of distinctive British TV? And then it immediately comes up with TV star that ends up to become Strictly Come Dancing's first blind contestant. Oh my god. How many boxes do we have to kick? Tick even. Major changes to UK airport security rules. Are you ready for the new liquid allowance? How many times a week should you shower? Well, they reckon no more than 3 or 4, unless you're doing something that obviously involves you sweating a lot, but your skin needs time to recover. Otherwise, you're prone to suffer more from infections such as cold and flu, because and skin infections as well, because your skin doesn't build up that immunity. Exact date. You remember what I was saying before about meteorologists coming up with bull? Exact date: snow is set to hit the UK in June as temperatures plummet. Yeah, by snow in the UK, what they actually mean is Ben Nevis might get a smattering. I mean, that is it. Tiny cottage on the tracks is one of the last of its kind on the railway line. And it's a little cottage and it's near a railway line. Okay. Drivers warned not to fill up petrol tanks this week due to new law change. What? HSBC owed £143 million by Barclay family's collapsed logistic company. Oh dear. New driving laws in June could see petrol and diesel car owners hit with massive fines. Oh. Traffic lights could be getting a new colour. And holidaymakers warn they could miss their flight if they follow viral packing hack. I think that's one way you can get more stuff in your suitcase, because it basically makes your suitcase too heavy, and therefore you have to take luggage out and you miss your flight. Rob Burrows deemed an inspiration over MND fight, but he just wanted to help others. I will stand as Labour MP, insists Diane Abbott. I think she's rather seriously ill as well. I don't know whether it's not been announced or anything, but she looks like she's in early stage Parkinson's from a couple of videos I've seen of her recently. 3 people charged with evading pitch during Champions League final, which I couldn't be arsed watching because it's football. Tories plan to shake up Equality Act to end confusion over female-only spaces. British girl 13 dials while on holiday in Florida. ANC to enter coalition talks after losing majority for the first time in 30 years. That's in South Africa. Heinz fan absolutely gutted as popular baked bean product axed due to culinary trends. I don't know what that would be. I don't really eat great beans. Dum 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 dum. Avanti West Coast rail caterers to strike in row over working conditions. So that means no curled up sandwiches on the train. I mean, that's a bonus, isn't it? Hundreds of Londoners injured by bus mirrors since 2018. That's when they introduced the new buses, wasn't it? Which have lower mirrors on the side of the buses, so they're obviously hitting people on the head or the shoulders or whatever. Heinz are overpriced. Yeah, definitely. Twice a day plus a dive. I'm going to leave. Are you leaving? Was that just a segment? No, this is part of a show that's gone on for 1 hour and 51 minutes, and it's in different sections. So there you go. Anyway, that would appear to be it. Whoops, wrong one. For the news this week. So, good bit of chat going on. I like listening to Moggy's funny. So we've had 48 views, averages 12 minutes and 9 seconds, most views is 9. These don't get as many views while it's live, but they get more listens to as a podcast than the previous ones, which I haven't quite figured out how that happens, but anyway. We've got 4 viewers at the minute, we've got a chat rate of 2. So we'll say good night to everyone who's been on. So Marty Hopkirk, Dream Frequency, JT and Rachel, Alan Barton, Calderdale Top Cat, Angela O'Kane, Rongan, Billy Shears, I think that is it, apart from DJ X. Someone else come in when DJ X come in. Oh, Urban Blonde, yeah, Urban Blonde as well. So there you go then, over 6 likes. So yeah, thank you for watching, if indeed you still are, and I'll be seeing you tomorrow for the election watch, where we look at what's going on in the general election. And as a floating voter, I still don't know who I'm going to vote for, if anyone. So join me on my journey to find out who is going to get my cross. Until then, bye! I've gone now.